Inside Wisconsin is brought to you by Baycare Clinic, Cobblestone Creek, the University of Wisconsin-Platteville, Mill Home Supper Club, Festival Foods, Capital Credit Union, North Star Mohican Casino Resort, American Family Insurance, and Rolltech.
This is fun. You guys are going to love this. Our guest today on Inside Wisconsin, legendary Packers fullback, John Kuhn.
Shut up and sit down.
So here he is in the flesh and the black NFLPA sweatshirt, legendary Packer fullback, John Kuhn. John, thanks for being on with us here on Inside Wisconsin. What's up?
Absolutely. It's a cold day up here in Wisconsin. So, yeah, I got to throw the hoodie on. John is not in Wisconsin, so he's not feeling it yet. But you and I are feeling it quite a bit.
Yeah, it's getting chilly.
Listen, Connecticut, we got down to 30 last night. We're no joke. We're not a tropical paradise out here, okay?
All right.
Yeah, but you also just got back from Florida. So, I mean, like, I can tell you're a little more tan this episode.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. Look at me. I'm completely – yeah, I look like George Hamilton, obviously. I'm mistaken that way.
So, John, I love that you are completely dialed in on all things Packers. And obviously, we know that you're involved still. And honestly, it was one of your wishes when you retired as a Packer back in 2019. You said you wanted to stay around the game. Did you ever think that it was going to be at this level, now being a broadcaster, both on the Packers radio network and obviously doing the 9 to noon show on a few radio stations across the state? Is this what you were hoping for?
Well, I dabbled a little bit while I was playing with some media stuff. I did a webcast out of Appleton for a while. That was a lot of fun. One of my ex-teammates, Mark Tauscher, had a great idea that we should start a radio show knowing absolutely nothing about radio and just acting like we're in a locker room talking. It was an epic fail, but it was fun nonetheless. And the more I did it, the more I realized there's an opportunity here for me to do something that's fun, that people like, that I do. And I found that out very quickly. So when I was done playing football, I was kind of torn. Should I go into scouting? Should I go into coaching? Or should I go into broadcasting? And if I was going to do any of them, I wanted to do them at the highest level. I wanted a crash course. And in fact, my last year playing down in New Orleans when I tore my bicep, I spent the remainder of the season in the scouting department and with the coaches creating game plans and doing that time there, which was a tremendous learning experience. And, it really gave me that itch to get into scouting and coaching. However, the true opportunity for me to keep my family in Green Bay, to keep my family in Wisconsin, for me to stay as close to the Green Bay Packers as I could was on the media side. And for me, that was a no-brainer. Get to keep my family in Wisconsin, get to keep my kids in school here, get to still, kick it with all my friends and people that I have here, stay in the community of Green Bay, keep golfing, Green Bay Country Club, and going over there to work at Lambeau Field on Sundays. What gets any better than that? There's nothing better than that for me, and I love working the sidelines for the games. The hair still stands up on the back of my neck, and it's so much fun.
How do you shake, and you don't obviously ever want to shake all the player out of you because that's what makes your view unique. I always tell this great story. I was at the NBA Finals, and Dwayne Wade was with us, and we went to break, and they were showering champagne in the locker room. And he looked at me and goes, "Man, you have no idea how that burns in your eyes." I said, "That's why you're here. That's totally why you're here. I can tell that a guy set a back pick and bounced it. Or I can look at a football play and go, wow, the pulling guard missed his block. I can do that. But what I can't tell you, and that you can, is what it's like to charge through that hole, knowing that you're going to have to hit some linebacker or something like that. And so that perspective, so you're standing there on the sideline. How often do you catch yourself going, that guy missed that read, or I really would like to had the ball there, or I really would like to have laid that poor guy out through the hole and taken somebody out, because I imagine that's hard on Sundays to just, is you're still fairly close to it, to just rinse that out of your system.
Yeah, people ask me all the time, do you miss the game? And there are a lot of things I do miss. The things I don't miss is the real work. We used to always say in the NFL, you got paid for Monday through Saturday, and then Sunday you played the games for free. I don't miss Monday through Saturday, the early wake up calls, the 12 to 15 hours on Wednesday and Thursday, and all the preparation and stuff that you have to do for your bodies to make sure you're in tip top shape, because you can be in good shape, but you're not in football shape, the shape that keeps you from getting hurt week in and week out and doing those things. But the things I do miss is being on the sideline, smelling, the bratwurst in the air, seeing the fans scream at you from the sideline, running out on Lambeau Field when your name's called, and when that whistle's blown, you watch them out on the field, and the feelings that they have. You know what it feels like, and nobody else really does. And I try and explain it to people all the time. What it looks like on the field is not at all what it looks like through a face mask coming from your own eyes. The game simplifies itself, and you're playing in your own little 3-yard bubble. And I think about that regularly from the sideline, and I have to think to myself, he didn't see that play the way I saw that play. And I know a lot of times when people miss blocks or they miss reads, it's because you can't see perfectly in your little 3-foot peripheral that you have between these face masks. The other thing I really miss is I miss the bonding with the teammates, and specifically a flight home from Arizona, like the Packers just had last Thursday night after they beat the Arizona Cardinals, when some would say they shocked the NFL landscape with going in there and beating an unbeaten Cardinals team without some of their top players. That feeling cannot be duplicated. That feeling of everybody put into this one common goal, coaches, scouts, players, and all the way up and down the roster, even the ones that didn't play, and they accomplished a great feat. And being able to celebrate that with them and only them, because when you have a home game, you come straight out into the family room. So immediately after the game, you do your breakdown with your team, you take a shower, you're with your family, and you get you got the opportunity for your family to pat you on your back and tell you how great you did, and you give your kids a hug and a kiss, and your wife, and then you go home and you come in the next day, you digest the film, and it's right on to the next day. But when you have an away game like that, and you have those rides home on the plane, you get to spend that time, that extra time with your teammates. That's a special feeling. That's a special bonding moment. I miss game days, and I miss the team bonding with my teammates.
The cool part is you still get to see a bunch of your old teammates. I mean, you're doing it here as the Packers sideline reporter for the radio broadcast, and a lot of the same guys that you played with are still playing. There was also a game earlier this season where a guy that you played with, who's actually been on Inside Wisconsin, who's doing your job for the Lions, was in town, TJ Lang. And I happened to see that you guys were chumming on the sideline. Talk about what that means to you, John, when you get to run in not only to your current teammates that are still Packers, but guys like TJ who are now doing what you're doing with other teams.
Yeah, that's great. And it's funny now. There's several guys I played with around the National Football League that are doing the same thing. Max Starks is the sideline reporter for the Steelers. Got to see him and hug him on the sideline during the Steelers game earlier this year too, just like TJ. So it's fun. And those guys are both football heads like me. Those guys are both, they're in it. If they weren't doing sideline, they'd be watching every single game. If they weren't within the teams that they're with, which, for Max, it was his team. TJ, it's his hometown team. He finished his career there. He's more seen as a Packer, though I would say most people would recognize him as a Packer. And then for me to be here as a Packer, it means the world. And for me to know what it feels like for me on game day, and I know TJ and I know Max, I know both those guys, they have that love for the game like I do. And I know how much it means to me to show up at Lambeau Field on Sunday when this thing's about to kick off. So it's pretty cool to know that some of my teammates get to experience that as well.
Right. Like, how much can you tell us that flight back as you were going to envision it from Arizona? Like, what kind of shenanigans go on there?
Well, quite some shenanigans, and whether they like to admit it or not, yes, they happen. And there's a reason why the players are separated from the coaches. On some teams, the players sit in first class. On some teams, the players sit in coach. But either way, it doesn't matter because they're petitioned between the coaching staff, they're petitioned between the media department. They have their separate little spot where they can pull their strings and get whatever they need to have so that they can have a great time. Cards are being played. Music is being played. Guys are razzing each other. It's exactly what you would anticipate a locker room to be, only 30,000 feet in the air. It's a fun thing to experience.
Meanwhile, the coaches are breaking down film. They're just digging in right there.
They're just
checking out load schemes, all kinds of stuff.
Every now and then you get the offensive line coach to walk to the back and here, what I want you to see is this, and it's like, can you give us some space? Like, the game just ended. We're coming back tomorrow. We'll be in tomorrow. You can teach us tomorrow. Get on. And you go, yep, you're right. I'll talk to you tomorrow.
Perfect. Terrific.
You were kind of like an offensive lineman for a lot of the time that you played here in Green Bay, John. I mean, you scored a bunch of touchdowns. We knew you were getting the ball. You could hear the crowd yell Kuhn when you were coming in, but a lot of your stuff was blocking. I was watching some of your highlights earlier, and there was a play where B.J. Raji down in Atlanta was your blocker. What was that like, knowing that it was your job mainly to make the way for the other guys, but every once in a while, and it was fun to watch, you got to put it in the end zone too?
Yeah, it was tremendous that I got to land in a spot like Green Bay. I always like to say everybody will have an opportunity in the NFL at some point in time. What do you make of that opportunity? Where is your opportunity is the second key point. And for me, I was so tremendously lucky to come to a team, well, basically to be in all three teams that I was on, Pittsburgh, Green Bay, and then New Orleans, but specifically to go from where I was battling for a spot on the team at all times in Pittsburgh to a team in Green Bay that really emphasized the fullback position. And that was because of the West Coast offense and Mike McCarthy. There was a couple years we carried three fullbacks on the roster, on the active roster. We would dress all three fullbacks. That is blasphemy in today's NFL. They won't let you dress three fullbacks if you want to dress three fullbacks. But we did that multiple times over the course of 2 years. And the fact that Mike McCarthy not only trusted his fullbacks to be roster spots, but he trusted one of them to carry the ball as much as myself, I was just tremendously lucky. Now, to speak to the B.J. Raji thing, everybody knows the fullback has to be bigger than the halfback. But when you have a fullback that weighs 260 pounds like I did, you struggled trying to find somebody that was bigger than him to put in front of you. B.J. Raji just happened to fit the mold, and that's why he was put in there. But he did a great job, and that package was called Hippo package. So that one made a lot of noise for us.
Great. Even in playbooks, we're body shaming people. That's terrific. You talked about the great opportunity to be here in Green Bay. But it seems to me that for a guy who is Pennsylvania sort of through and through, and to play for the Steelers had to be the first dream come true, right? Of a kid that and so how did we adjust our thinking from Steeler Nation to the hamlet that is Green Bay?
Yeah, so, first and foremost, I wasn't a Steelers fan growing up. I wasn't an Eagles fan growing up. I grew up right on the line where the two fan bases met, and right. I chose to take the road less traveled by and root for the Cowboys and really mess with both fan bases right off the bat. So that was my team. Yeah, that was my team when I was growing up. But going to Pittsburgh was a dream come true because I got to stay closer to home. My future wife at the time, who I was dating, her family was all from Pittsburgh. So I got to kick it with them while I was out there, and she was finishing up schooling. And really, I learned a lot in Pittsburgh because the way they utilized the fullback was the tools I needed to learn. As I said, Mike McCarthy kind of exploited the fact that I could handle the football. That's what I did in college. I wasn't much of a blocker. But Bill Cowher's offense, Ken Wisenhunt's offense, that fullback was a slobber knocker. So you had to go in there and learn how to block, learn how to use your forehead, learn how to use your hands. And that's what I learned there. And I had a great teacher in Dan Kreider, who ironically, his hometown was right next to my hometown. So not only did we play together on the Steelers, he would allow me to work out with him and do his training regimen with him in the offseason. So that was a dream come true to go there. Now the adjustment to take place to go to Wisconsin is everybody tells you that they don't know where Green Bay is. I knew Green Bay was in Wisconsin, but I had no idea really where Green Bay was. When they tell you these things, it's absolutely true. And growing up in the East Coast, in Appalachia, with trees and deciduous forests everywhere, and then you land down at Austin Strobel Airport, and it feels like you can see for miles because the land is so flat, and you jump in a taxi circa 1980, and they're listening to Bob Dylan on the radio. You are thrown back in time. You are taken back in time to a place, and I call it my childhood. Everything that I experienced when I first got here, it was like I was reliving my childhood. And they could still smoke in restaurants when I got here. It was just a different place. But I embraced it, and I loved it. And I found one thing was very familiar: the people. I felt like the people were very much like the people in Pennsylvania. I felt like they were nice. I felt like they were warm. I felt like they were welcoming. And that was a huge plus for me because when I came here, again, all by myself, it was before my wife and I got married, I had nobody else. I had the people around me in my locker room. And when I go out and about, I had the people who were here, and they embraced me, and they treated me so well. And it was a tremendous experience. It's why we've never left.
More about why Wisconsin feels like home even today. We're back with John Kuhn on Inside Wisconsin in just a bit.
Inside Wisconsin is brought to you by Baycare Clinic, Cobblestone Creek, the University of Wisconsin-Platteville, Mill Home Supper Club, Festival Foods, Capital Credit Union, North Star Mohican Casino Resort, American Family Insurance, and Roll Tech.
JA Inside Wisconsin and American Family Insurance. We're calling it Quotes for a Cause. Pretty awesome.
I like it. I want to learn more, and I'm glad that we are a part of this with American Family. My thought is, listen, if it's good enough to be on the Brewer Stadium or you can put it on Steve Stricker's sleeve, that is a great partner, great neighborhood. I'm glad we're there.
Us too. We are glad we're here with them. It's Quotes for a Cause. Head to insidewisconsin.com/AmFam. Get a quote, and your local participating agent will donate $5 to Habitat for Humanity. John Anderson's going to come and build houses. I just signed you up for that.
Listen, my dad, Collins Custom Basement, for years, donated a basement to Habitat Humanity every year. That he went out and did that in the Green Bay, Brown County area. So I can't think of a better partner, and I can't think of a better cause, especially in and around the holidays, right? Gosh, if you can get somebody home for a holiday and get them in and get them shelter and put that Christmas tree up or have that Thanksgiving dinner, whatever it is, boy, that'd be special. And we are lucky that we get the chance to be a part of it.
InsideWisconsin.com/AmFam. It's Quotes for a Cause. Go and work with your local American Family Insurance agent. Go there now. Insure carefully. Dream fearlessly with American Family Insurance.